be vigilant about anti-Semitism, whether it's done in an ignorant way or not, that is very real. So some of the examples of that. I asked last night if any of you ever hear someone in our movement talking about, quote unquote, the Jewish lobby. I would call them on that because the lobby for Israel is an Israel lobby. It's not simply a Jewish lobby. You know, when you call it a Jewish lobby, you are bringing up all kinds of tropes about Jews that have been used against Jews throughout history, of being conspiratorial, of being power grabbing, of world domination. And the truth is, when you look at the lobby for Israel, the most powerful lobby for Israel is actually Christian. It's the Christian evangelical Zionist wing that is considerably more influential, more financially powerful, and has more adherents. There are at least 10 million Christian Zionists who are enormously influential in Washington. So if you hear things like the Jewish lobby, I would check folks and say, no, we're talking about the Israel lobby. Another example would be, for those of us who consider Zionism to be a settler colonial enterprise, which I do. I think it is a colonial movement. I think the Zionist movement colonized Israel from bringing European Jews to create colonies in Israel, to create eventually a political Jewish state on the backs of the people who lived there. But if you hear, I would ask my comrades that if we are only condemning settler colonialism in Israel, and we are remaining silent about it in this country, in terms of this country's legacy of settler colonialism, the fact that this country was founded on the backs of an indigenous people, and that those people haven't gone away either, and in fact are probably the most oppressed minority in this country. If we don't make that connection, if we condemn settler colonialism in Israel and remain silent about it in this country, then shame on us as well. That's a double standard that I think is very problematic. And particularly because we are, as Americans, and those of us who are white Americans, we benefit enormously from the system of privilege that was created through colonization. So that's another example that I think part of solidarity means being able to check one another and remaining honest about our goals and our assumptions and about what it is that we're fighting for, and to make sure that we're not intentionally or not buying into troubling kinds of tropes that have been leveled at Jews in particular for a very, very long time. The struggle for justice in what Christians often call the Holy Land, it's important to keep in mind that injustice in the Holy Land did not start in 1948. You know, that country has been racked by injustice for almost its entire history. That land, I should say. And for much of that history, it was by Christians. You know, by Christian colonization, by Christian hegemony. The Crusades was a particularly ignoble period in the history of that part of the world. So I would check my Christian comrades to reckon with the legacy of their faith tradition vis-a-vis the Holy Land, just as much as I, as a Jew, am reckoning with the legacy of what's going on there now. And I have to say, I brought that up last night and was very encouraged by the response. You know, we had a very good conversation about it, about the importance of seeing the big picture and not creating double standards around Zionism per se, but that to understand that Zionism, I believe, occurs within a larger context of injustice.